Please like, subscribe, and share this information. This is very important to get the word out and keep the word out. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I'd like to start with the Bible verse, which is Matthew 18, verse 6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thanks who always here. Hey there, Jackie. Good to see you as well. Thanks for coming back. Okay, I'll look for that in a little while. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, if anybody has got any information about a case that they want to be discussed on here, you can drop me a line or hit me up. I appreciate that because we need to get the word out about these atrocious stories and all. There's too much of these things going on. But I'm glad that this story, this guy, Acton Bowen, he's a former youth minister in Etowah County in Alabama. He was sentenced to 1,008 years. I call that victory. Okay, I will go ahead and I will stop my mic for a few minutes because it's going to be a video when I first open the page. All right. So first I'm going to change that setting before I do.
When I served, my work was critical, and I don't feel like that's the case anymore.
It got so bad that I was even thinking about suicide.
Whatever you're dealing with, call the Veterans Crisis Line.
Pam, those statements came in written statements provided by the prosecution, and in it they describe how Acton Bowen used money, lavish trips, and clothing to lure those young boys to spend time alone with him. One of those boys remorsefully saying that they regretted not being able to stop Bowen from hurting others. We heard from Bowen, by the way, for the very first time as well this afternoon. He gave a tearful apology to his family, but first and foremost to the victims who were also in that courtroom, in the same room again with him. He said, quote, his heart never meant to hurt them, but his mind is not well. Defense witnesses claim Bowen suffered from PTSD from his own sexual abuse as a teenager, a claim unsubstantiated that he made while he was facing trial. As prosecutors noted in this case, the judge did not find leniency in that argument, offering the maximum sentence in each one of the 28 charges against him.
There's so much pain involved in reporting a crime like this and having to go into the tremendous detail. It causes so much stress for those young men.
I can assure you what happened today is exactly what they wanted to see happen, and that is for Acton Bowen to never harm another person.
There were 6 young men that the prosecutors listed as victims that Bowen pled guilty to abusing, and prosecutors say they are confident that there were more young men who did not come forward here in Etowah County. They say they hope this verdict will convince them to do so. They say they are vowing to prosecute any other cases involving any young men who come forward in the future. Meanwhile, as for Bowen, he is scheduled to stand trial in Jefferson County in April for the case there, which led to the entire investigation that brought those cases here in Etowah County. But the long story short of this, what we know for sure, is that he will now
It was very disgusting, y'all. Very creepy. I'm going to scroll on down here. Here's what the story is. For Gadsden, Alabama, the evangelist who served as a youth minister for teenage boys and became a best-selling author was given the maximum sentence for all 28 charges related to sexually abusing 6 teenagers in Etowah County on Friday, which this was 2019, I believe. September 20th, 2019 is when the news was here. The sentences are to be served consecutively, which means Bowen would serve roughly 1,008 years before being released. Get the perp, the predator. You send your kids to church. Here where you go, a youth minister for the church. You're supposed to help your kids, teach them in the right way, teach them good things, the right things about God, about Jesus. Not to do this to them, not for your own sexual gratification, you sicko. The alleged victims claim Bowen, the now 38-year-old evangelist, which was 2019, so he's older than that now, of course, because it is 2023. So add that. He sexually abused them for months, or in some cases, years. Complaints were dated from 2006 to as recently as April 2018. Bowen pled guilty earlier in the month as jury selection for his trial was set to begin. Many of the victims, some of whom are now adults, were in the courtroom when the sentence was announced. The victims claimed the now 38-year-old evangelist sexually abused them for months or in some cases years from 2006 to as recently as April 2018. I saw myself as damaged goods without realizing it's been manipulated by a true professional. Yeah, that's what we seem to think. We look at ourselves as damaged goods when these atrocious things happen to us. This was stated from one of the victims in a statement submitted during the hearing. The statements also described how Bowen used lavish trips, clothing, and money to lure the young men into spending time alone with him. Bowen spoke publicly for the first time on Friday since his arrest. He apologized to the victims and his family before the sentence was announced. The former youth minister also admitted to suffering with alcohol, drug abuse, and addiction to pornography. Oh man, I hope and pray he did not take pictures of them boys. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know, that leads me to thinking that there's a possibility he could have, and the boys don't remember it. You know what I'm saying there, Jackie? My heart has never wanted to hurt anyone, but my mind is not well. So Bowen said him what he said during his tear-filled apology. But you can't fix it now. You should have stopped yourself. If you never wanted to hurt anybody, you could have stopped yourself. You could have stopped yourself. Don't give us a tearful apology saying, I never wanted to. No, you are in control of your actions. You are in control. Don't go and say you never intended. What do you think it was going to do? You thought it was going to make him feel good or what? You never intended to hurt him? Excuse me? His attorneys argued the pastor suffered from post traumatic stress disorder as a result of sexual abuse he suffered as a teenager. That does not still give him a right to do what he did. I got PTSD from what happened to me, and I don't go and do that. I had this done to me since I was born, and that was a lifetime of the sexual abuse from me, and I did not do this to anybody. Excuse me. You have a choice. Defense witnesses say Bowen revealed the sexual abuse to psychologists while awaiting trial. They noted he suffered some of the same damaging effects of abuse as his victims. They argued this should be a mitigating factor in his sentencing. No, you don't need a mitigating factor in his sentencing when they do this. It was not. Calhoun County Judge Deborah Jones handed down a maximum sentence for all 28 charges. Thank you so much, Calhoun County Judge Deborah Jones. Thank you, thank you, thank you from all of us people that stated we need to write her and thank her. We seriously do. You know what I'm saying? We seriously do. I think they were hurt, because they are the victims in this case, said Etowah County District Attorney Jody Willoughby about Bowen's use of his own alleged sexual abuse during the hearing. I just think it just reassures the selfish nature of Acton Bowen that it's still all about him. Yep. Poor me. I was caught, so that's why I'm really tearful. You weren't tearful about it while you were doing it to stop the actions. No, you weren't. Instead, you decided to go ahead and do it. You had your life turned over to God and everything, and you were a youth minister. You were a minister. You're supposed to taught these kids about the love of God. You were not supposed to victimize them. Jones was brought in to hear the case after judges in Etowah County recused themselves. Bowen was married to Ashley Neighbors, the daughter of Etowah County District Judge Joe Neighbors. Neighbors filed for divorce days after the allegations against her husband became public. I wondered how much of what he done was really known by her because she can't be that dumb. Seriously, she cannot be that dumb to have not known. She couldn't. She couldn't have been. In April, prosecutors claim Bowen contacted at least one victim and possibly more by email or text message while jailed in the Etowah County Detention Center. What? He should be allowed to write one of the victims or any of them while jailed in it. Oh man, that's sick. The moment that he was charged, I believe, in Jefferson County, he immediately started reaching out to victims, asking them to cooperate with him and not go against him, not to admit the allegation. See, he was trying to get them not to admit it. Y'all see that in black and white right here? He's not sorry. He was contacting them, started reaching out to victims, asking them to cooperate with him and not to go against him, to not tell what happened. He's not sorry, y'all. He's sorry he got caught. He's sorry he's having to pay the reaper. Look at that crap. Oh man, he shouldn't have been even allowed to write these people. Man. Bowen told the court he pled guilty earlier this month to spare victims from having to relive the abuse he admitted he subjected them to. No, you didn't want everybody to know all the facts behind what you did. Okay? That's why you didn't want them to testify, because more of your sick behavior and the things you did would have been said in that. Thank you very much. I couldn't ask God to heal them and ask them to go through that. No, but you sure asked them to please cooperate with you and not go against you and not admit the allegations. Excuse me? Don't try to put it off as something it ain't, man. The investigation into Bowen's life began in April 2018 after he was arrested in Jefferson County after a 3-week investigation by Hoover Police Department Special Victims Unit. Hurrah! Police said the victim was a teenage family acquaintance. Bowen is scheduled to stand trial in Jefferson County on April 20, 2020, which he did. Bowen was also charged with lewd or lascivious battery in Bay County, Florida. Oh man, and other places too. According to the local sheriff's office, after the FBI began helping local law enforcement investigate Bowen's trips with teenage boys across state lines. That's a felony in itself, is it not? To take a victim across state lines and do this? Is that not another charge there? It was unclear if the charge in Florida was related to another alleged victim. The news of Bowen's arrest in 2018 shocked many in East Alabama's Christian community, where he was considered a hometown hero. Bowen had served as chaplain for the 2012 Olympics. Oh my Lord, have mercy on us. Made appearances on Fox News and promoted himself as a spiritual advisor to Hollywood stars, including Justin Bieber. I hope the heck you didn't mess with Justin Bieber too, man. Oh man, spiritual advisor. Oh man, I'm getting sicker just reading more and more on this. This is sickening, y'all. Bowen had worked as a youth minister nearly a decade ago at the Cross Point Community Church in Etowah County before it closed. There he worked closely with students from Coosa Christian School, where he also graduated. In 2018, Bowen's father described how his son has spent much of his adult life mentoring young children. Who exactly is this mentoring young children when you're sexually abusing them, when you're raping them? How exactly is that mentoring? Parents encourage their children to be in Acton's presence and Acton's guidance and Acton's ministry because Acton has a passion for what he does, and it's a God given gift. No, it's not. It's a fake gift. No, it's not. If it's a God given gift, God would have never put him in there to do this thing to these children. No, no, no. I'm getting madder the more I read. Take a deep breath. I'm getting madder and madder. An appeal was entered on behalf of Bowen following the sentencing. Jones denied all applications for probation. Ooh, he wanted probation and didn't get it. Hot dog. Somebody approached me in the courtroom immediately afterwards and said he'd been waiting for this for years, and I know that there are more that did not come forward. I'm confident of that, said Deputy District Attorney Carol Griffiths after the sentencing. Will it be left open the possibility of more charges in Etowah County against Bowen in the future if other victims come forward? By all means, any of y'all who are victims from this jerk, from this perpetrator, please go forward. Please let it be known. Even though he's got 1,008 years, you deserve justice. You deserve it to be known. You deserve it. I can assure you what happened is exactly what they wanted to see happen, and that is for Acton Bowen to never harm another person. Well, really, really, I'm sorry to say that, even though he's got so many years in prison and everything, the only way I could truly say that, yeah, how was that allowed exactly? He knew exactly what he was doing. Exactly. How was it even allowed for him to do that? And then his father goes and says, how he was born to do that kind of thing, to be a spiritual advisor to kids? Excuse me? That's not God given. That is not God given. What he did. It is not God given. These creeps use their position to get access to young children. This angers me so much. Man, I feel sick. He even had access to all the kids at the Olympics when he was a chaplain there. He had access to all them kids. So, by all means, anybody affected by this act on. Bowen, who was at the 2012 Olympics, please please let it be known. Don't stand in shame. Don't stand in fear. Let it be known so your healing can take place. Yeah, he was the devil's work for sure. You got that right. Seriously, you really got that right. There was nothing of the God that was right there put in there for him to even. And I still somewhat blame the wife because there had to be some kind of knowledge that she had to know. He was using these lavish trips and vacations and clothes, you know. She had to sense something, you know what I'm saying? Because a predator will sense. Like I seen some guys who just look at kids a certain way and they're drilling out of their mouth and stuff, you know. Yeah, I bet there are a lot more children affected. I hope more come out as well. So if he was a perpetrator all the way to 2018, so how many years was it since 2018? So, I mean, just 5 years. There could be still some young kids that he violated. Not all of them's adults that he violated. Some of them are adults now because it was all the way from 2006. But I still think that even there's no way the wife did not sense anything in the years. You know, there is no way possible. She just turned her head and turned her back and didn't want to be recognized. She probably suspected it, but I don't know. She waited till the allegations came out, though, for her to leave him. She didn't want that kind of reputation on her. You know what I'm saying? I bet the wife knew too. That long of a thing, you cannot cover it up. If he was severely traumatized, and she even knew that he was doing alcohol, had to have some of the kids over there. He was into child pornography too, remember? As I said, he was into pornography. She had to know. He couldn't cover all this up that he was doing. He could not have done that. Nobody is good. If he especially got PTSD from his sexual abuse, why was he inflicting it upon others instead of using it saying, I will protect the children. I won't let this happen to them. I'll be protective over them. I'll help guide them. Help them get on the right way of life. I don't want to damage these kids. Excuse me. I get so high winded right now. Boy, this is sickening, you know? Very sickening. But you know what? It brings me hope. You know what kind of hope it brings me? It brings me the kind of hope that I got a lot of friends who's been messed with, and their families been messed with, and the people's not been prosecuted or anything. It brings me hope that uh, this is going to happen to them. They're, you know, the people that done this to them, the perpetrators. We don't need to lose our hope. Maybe these culprits will get have to spend the rest of their lives, and the wives that knew about it, they're just guilty too. That tells y'all to shut up about it. The people that tell y'all to be quiet about it, and yet they knew about it, had other kids around the perpetrator, the offender, still today. You bet you. You bet you the wife's involved. She didn't protect the kids. As the doctor would feel and say, why didn't you leave? You knew what kind of person you had. Why are you still there? Why are you still there with them? Why are you still letting them get around other kids? You know, that makes you a monster too. You're a monster as well as he is. Dr. Phil would know. This is quite sickening, but 1,008 years, and to know this was 20 something children. They were children at the time. Some of them are adults now. But there's other ones out there that's too afraid to tell. They're too afraid they blame themselves. They fear that they're going to go and then other people's going to know their secret. There's so many reasons why somebody don't tell. Heck, for all we know, they could have threatened the parents or paid off the parents for all we know. We don't know. There's a lot of sickos out there. Like my parents sold me. I'm not saying that all parents would have sold their children, but I'm saying there's probably some instances where, a lot of them are monsters. Anybody who knows about the SA going on in churches and yet they ridicule the people for trying to get it out, like I'm being ridiculed at the churches around here. I look at them and I view them. God says, with what measure you judge someone, like they're judging me as being horrible for getting my story out there, for speaking up about this. Guess what? They're getting that same kind of judgment. It ain't me doing it. They're doing it for themselves. Well, thank you a lot, and I just had to get this out there. I appreciate it. I think I did this story once before, but I wanted to get it back out there again, but I did not see the actual sentencing of 1,008 years, and I'm so glad that the justice system worked for those. Feel free to share as much as you like. I don't care about anybody sharing this information because it needs out there. More victims need to say, hey, I'm one of those victims. I do need to speak up. There are people who genuinely care. I urge you to. I've got a lot of friends at Facebook, people that have went through this. That does you do. The guys have told me. Some of the guys have told me that they question their own sexuality because of them being done this way. It does mess with your mind. It does make you feel dirty, but it's not your fault. It is not your fault. It is this person's responsibility. And maybe your parents didn't know what your children were, what their children were having to endure being around this guy. They actually thought that he was an uplifting guy. They did not know about his doings. But I still would not have wanted my children to travel somewhere with an adult man. I still would not. I know of other people like Bill Murray with NASA. That's why he started NASA. That's why I had liked NASA before. National Association Alliance for Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. The only thing I don't withstand, and I'm not a part of it, because they let anybody go in there. And I'm sorry, but I do not want to have a sex offender. I don't want to be around a perpetrator. I don't want to be around a pedophile. One person they led in the group before came after, started a woman meant to text this other woman in the Zoom chat meeting. She gave out her number and it accidentally went like that in front of everybody, okay? So that's how he got her number. Added her to WhatsApp and started contacting her. Then he worked his way to contacting her kids. She, knowing that he was a pedophile, she still allowed her kids to talk with this pedophile who was still on probation, mind you. Also, this pedophile has got HIV and everything. So the guy that he was trying to meet, a young teenager that he was trying to meet, and he got busted for it in a sting operation. I thank God that he got busted in that sting operation and did not meet up with another boy and possibly give him AIDS, a death sentence. So people, be strong, Got a lot of people who will not judge you. We will not judge you and blame you for what these adults had done to you. It is not your fault. I know you feel the shame. You were a kid. We as kids, we had to do as parents told us. We were their action. Yes, we do. Women and children need stricter safeguard from these creeps. Exactly. Exactly. And what you know when if he was caught and see, remember he was telling his victims, asking his victims not to come forward. How many of the other victims with the other things that he's done? When he's went over there around Justin Bieber, California or wherever he's at, how many other kids could he have messed with? You know, he was his spiritual advisor. How many other kids were there? The only reason this guy got caught is because the ones that were brave enough to come forward. I want to thank each and every one of you who came forward to get this man arrested because this man was doing his dangest to beg y'all not to tell, and he should have never, ever been able to contact y'all through an email or phone call. That right there, he should face the repercussions for trying that on y'all as well. Really, the best thing I think would have been to get rid of him because look at all the taxes that we're having to pay for him to be in jail. Look at all the payments. What are we keeping him in a jail for? You know? Yeah, I think he probably would have been a young boy. I hope nothing happened to him by this perp. I wonder if he knows about this perp going to jail about this. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if he knew about it. That'd be interesting to say. And then if this perp actually was a perpetrator to him, oh, buddy, don't you think it's going to even be worse off for them? Because this guy was evidently pretty dang busy, not just there in Alabama, but like I said, he went to trips and was it the Olympics in 2012? Was it in Atlanta, Georgia? I'm not sure. I cannot remember, but I was thinking it might have been. I gotta, I have to look into that and see where the Olympics were held. But he was there as a chaplain around all these kids, y'all. Around all these kids. How many of y'all let your kids go to the Olympics with this chaplain? How many of y'all let him travel and share the same hotel room with this perpetrator, thinking that he was safe? How many of y'all? How many of y'all? Think about it. Kids would have loved the boys, they would have said, yeah, I want to go to the Olympics. Yeah, that's an honor. I want to go. Yeah, that's one of the best things to go to. Well, we love sports. Yeah, let's go. I mean, look at all the possibilities where this man kept on. He had no remorse. He was writing the victims. He wasn't apologizing to them in an email. Instead, he was telling them in an email to please don't press charges, to please go along with him. Please don't tell about it. Please let me keep doing this act. Don't make me face the repercussions of what I did to y'all. Let me keep abusing other people. Come on, keep on letting me do it. Why you gotta tell? Come on. You know I am a good guy. You know I helped you out buy clothes. You know I helped you. I bought you clothes. I bought you little gifts and stuff like that. Well, you gotta do this to me. I guarantee you he was telling them that too. You know that, Jackie? Yeah, he was grooming them. Well, you can tell I'm fired up with this guy, can't you? Oh, man. People, please stand forward. Please stand forward. Stop feeling the shame what these perpetrators put upon you. You don't deserve it. You do not deserve it. I promise you that. If people say, well, you wanted it, that's BS. You were a child. You may have felt like that's what you. Some people make you believe that it's partly you that you wanted it when you really didn't. You might have been wondering about the sexual type of thing, how that would be, but no, you didn't ask for that. Your parents put you in his responsibility to take care of you, but not take care of you sexually. Put you into care because they trusted you. They trusted him to take care of their child, and their child will be safe. They'll be guided in the right direction, in a godly way. I bet they never dreamed that he would do that kind of stuff to them. He is not an inspiration and never was an inspiration. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Ay, 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 ay. Well, I guess I better drop on this, but please, y'all, even if y'all's not a victim of him, please come and tell somebody about what was done to you. No child asked for that. We know that. It's not your fault. I beg and plead you from a person that's been there. I'm a person that was sold from I was age 2. I was a person that was forced into child pornography. I didn't remember it, was later told by a state trooper that he remembered me in the child pornos and how he enjoyed doing me when I was a little bitty kid. You know how that hurts? He never had to pay for that. He's dead now, but he never had to pay for that crime. Never. They did tell People did tell me, some of the neighbors that did tell me that he had been caught before with the child pornos. Said he got in trouble for it. But then why did he still have a job with law enforcement, even if it wasn't a state trooper that he actually was driving like a city car? Why was he still allowed in the force? This child predator, knowing that they had child pornography. Why would they still allow somebody in the force? Excuse me. Something's wrong with our system. It's broken, very broken. Don't be afraid. Please don't be afraid because there are genuine people. There's child um, SCSA that can be notified. There's a lot of people. There's 1-800 for a child to contact. There's some people who, if they knew you being in that, there's bikers against this also. A biker will stop at nothing to try to help rescue you out of that situation. By all means, don't lie about it ever. Don't make up SA ever. That will harm you the rest of your life and harm the other people who do not deserve. They didn't do it. Only report when it's truthful. These people deserve to be face the reaper for what they had done. Face the piper. So I want to thank y'all all, and please pass this on if you can. I appreciate it. It uplifts me to see somebody having to serve 1,008 years. But the thing about it is, how many other kids did he hurt? All these other opportunities when it was said that even he had a book out there. He's an author of a book. I would not want to buy, I would be curious as to what his book's about, but I would not want to give him any money or any assets to buy that book. You know what I'm saying there, Jackie? I would not want to buy his book and give money for him, the pedophile, the sicko, waste of trash, the waste of garbage. But thank you so much, Jackie. Love and appreciate this. I say, God bless to you. I'll go ahead and go before my temper even flares out even more because, yeah, burn his books, y'all. Burn his books. That's right. Just like somebody else we know, burn somebody's book, right? I like that. I like that. Be able to buy his book, maybe to burn his book, but the bad thing is he probably wouldn't care about somebody burning his book as he would the profits, and he would still get the profits from it. Yep. God bless you too, Jackie, and thank you so much. And this broadcast and whatever you do, if anybody sees something, say something. Don't just walk by. You might be the child's only hope for survival. Thank you. God bless.